You're probably a star seed if you're watching this. And if you are a star seed, then now is the time to really look very carefully about what you're putting in your body. I'm Susan Kennard. This is my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I really want to share with you today lots of things, but one of the key things that came to me today was to talk to you about 3D eating versus 5D eating. And you might ask, what is that? What is 3D eating versus 5D eating? Well, it's all about frequency. I'm just going to get my video up here so if anyone comes live, I can say hi. Eating versus 5D. Sorry about that. So, hi Samira. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining me. So many years ago, I trained as a naturopath. It's not something I talk about loads, but I trained as a natural nutritionist. And what I learned then, and it was many, many years ago, way before I had my kids, and they're now nearly 15 and 13 and a half, that what I learned from the tutor that I had, which was Barbara Wren, who was way ahead of her time, is that the light that we put into our cells is the frequency of our true being. So essentially what she taught us, there was a 3-year training, but what she taught us was that what we're actually putting into our bodies in the sense of the food and the nutrients and so on, actually is a reflection of the light. Okay. So now, all those years later, and working with Source, being a channel, but also working as a trauma specialist, I realised that when we're holding a heavy frequency, we're also holding a lot of fear and guilt and shame and other emotions on that scale. But when we are holding light, we're holding acceptance, unconditional love, and the frequency of, joy and happiness. So when we're thinking about foods, if you imagine eating curry for breakfast, lunch and dinner and an evening snack, as much as you might like curry, you might not want to eat it all day long. And on the other side of it is that would be your, holding the frequency of shame and guilt and fear and all of the heavy. If you even think about those words, you can feel the energy of them. And when you think about acceptance, joy, happiness, love, that frequency, we might be thinking about steamed vegetables, fruit, light protein, whatever. We might be thinking about that. More vegetables and fruit, to be honest, when I think about love and acceptance and that frequency. So what my guides have been saying to me for a very, very, very long time is that I need to just be eating vegetables and some protein. Well, I've kind of listened to them and I've kind of listened not to them and listened to them again. And I have these bouts where I really listen to them. And so all I'll eat is stir fries and some fish and protein, which to be honest is most of my diet. But I also slip into sometimes having avocado on toast, sometimes having, Marmite on toast. We have that here in the UK, the kids like that. So it is part of me being human that I slip into those things that are easy, quick energy boosts, and I don't even realize I'm doing it. So one of the things I wanted to speak to you about was that as we are shifting so quickly in our frequency, hi Veronica, lovely to see you. As we're shifting so quickly in our frequency, then we have to put high vibrational foods into our body. We definitely have to bless our food and our water. That goes without saying. But actually, if we eat processed, refined carbohydrates, things that are really heavy, alcohol, etc., things that are really heavy on the system, it just keeps our frequency at a lower energy. Okay, does that make sense to you? So when you're thinking about what you're putting into your body, if you think of the 3D, then perhaps we were at a different frequency where we could take that. And what I've definitely noticed as I'm shifting my frequency all of the time, you know, that this is the job I do, this is my mission to help people align to their mission. And however I do that, whether it's releasing trauma, whether it's talking to you about what you put in your body, whether it is connecting with your guides, you know, channeling, whatever it might be, that is my mission. So as I'm noticing that my frequency is getting higher and higher and finer, I'm noticing that I can't eat the same things and I can't drink alcohol in the same way. Okay. So who's noticed that in their life? Who's noticed that they're starting to realize that they can't put in the same foods that they could maybe 5 years ago? Okay. Let me know in the chat, definitely. And I'll respond to all messages. So if we think about the frequency of vegetables, we're really looking at natural carbohydrate. So carbohydrate is important for us, but not in the refined state. So just to help you, if you don't know this already, carbohydrates in the refined state would be bread, pasta, biscuits, crackers. Don't kill me, okay, for saying these things. Rice, things like that. Couscous is also wheat. Okay, we're not talking about quinoa. I'll talk about that in a moment. But actually, couscous is actually wheat. Yeah. So as much as we might see that as healthy, actually, and for some people, it will be perfectly fine. I'm just really talking about people that are really raising their frequency and aligning fully to their mission, really stepping out in the world. So if you happen to be someone really truly aligning to your mission, you want to listen to this, because it's really going to take you to that next place on your mission. It's going to really help you towards that. It's going to help you hear more clearly where you need to be. So when you think about those are refined carbohydrates. So refined carbohydrates are actually sugar. Okay. So sugar converts itself to, carbs convert themselves to sugar. So what happens with that is that we have something called the pancreas. Most people have heard of it, and it produces insulin. So every time we eat, we produce insulin. Okay. So when we eat carbohydrates, we eat more often, because the fuel is transformed, sugar transforms into fuel. Whereas when we don't eat carbohydrates, actually fat is transformed into fuel. Make sense? Yeah. So if we've got fat, we've got protein, those things sustain us for so much longer. Hence why people that do intermittent fasting, which I do, I very rarely eat in the morning. So people that do intermittent fasting will probably only have 2 meals a day. And the reason for that is because they're not eating the carbs. So the sugar content, the fuel in your body just lasts so much longer. Yeah. So some people call that ketogenic eating. And I don't want to get into labels, but you know, that is one way of eating, where you don't have any carbohydrates, you just have fat and protein and veg and things like that. But in that diet, you have no fruit. And I love fruit. So for me, that doesn't work. I like to work with the land. I like to work with the fruits and veg of the land. Anyway, so when you think about that, if you are eating carbohydrates, and I'm, you know, particularly talking to women here, but I'm sure that men will have the same issue, then what happens is you start to put on a bit of weight. And the reason for that is that the insulin that's being produced is overloading the system. And that's a hormone. Okay. So then we start to get this bit around the middle. Yeah. And some people call it a muffin top. It's funny. But, you know, the bit around the middle. So if you have kind of like a waistline that isn't particularly slim, then you know that there's something going on with your overproduction of insulin. So I just wanted to throw that out for you. And it's not a judgment, and I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just offering some of the thoughts and some of my education as a naturopath. I'm also a mental health practitioner, which is somebody that looks at the emotional, metaphysical causes of disease. Okay, so I have quite a lot of science background and quite a lot of knowledge from that perspective. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to diagnose, obviously, and it's not for me to tell you what to do. I never would do that. But I'm just offering you this to think about for yourself if it resonates with you. And if you've been kind of thinking intuitionally, I probably can't do wine anymore, or I can't do bread anymore, or I can't redo pasta anymore, you know, it's that kind of thing, then you know that maybe your frequency is shifting and you can't take on that kind of heavy frequency within your body. Okay. And so I think more and more, my guides are reminding me of something. So I think more and more we are transforming those that are star seeds, light workers, ready, you know, to really step on our mission or continue on our mission, bring incredible message to the world, or whatever that might be. Then it's time to really look at, you know, what are we putting in our body? How does that really serve us? Okay, so the guides are reminding me to speak about breatharians. Many years ago, I never would have believed this if I hadn't been on a retreat. So way before kids, so, you know, you're looking sort of 15, 20 years ago, I went on a retreat, and this retreat was a breathwork retreat. And I met some amazing people on that retreat, and two people I met on there ate nothing, right? Now, I never would have believed that, okay, especially someone who's trained as a naturopath. I love food. I love going out for dinner. I love all of that. I met these two people, and they were partners, and one hadn't eaten for 2 years and the other one hadn't eaten for 1.5 years since they met that person. And they literally lived on light. Okay, so had a bit of colloidal silver, and if they fancied something, but they didn't eat. And because I was with them the whole weekend, and some other people as well, I could actually see that they literally didn't eat or drink, which just goes against everything I could imagine. For me, I'm not there with that. But it just shows us that once you have this incredible intention that you are living on light alone and you're living on source energy, then actually we can do anything, right? So if we can be that, then surely perhaps we, you know, the question I want to ask here, a rhetorical question, is, are we eating too much food? You know, are we actually eating for the sake of it, rather than actually maybe refining the amount of food that we put into our bodies? So have a think about that, yeah, and just ponder on it and think about what, you know, you start the day with. What do you know, when I trained as a naturopath, and as I said, it was a long time ago, I remember one of the key things they said is that what you start your day with, if you imagine it like this, I'm going to draw it on the screen. If you start your day with a cigarette and coffee, let's say, right? And remember, I'm not judging anyone. But if you start your day with a cigarette and coffee, your blood sugar goes up like this, okay? And then it drops. So about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, you need another cigarette and coffee, yeah? If you start your day, let's say, with lemon water, so boiled water with lemon in, you are essentially alkalizing your body. So you're coming in there with a flat line, and it might go up a little bit, and then you fancy, I don't know, a smoothie or something later, and you never really go higher than that throughout the whole day. So then you don't have these feelings of cravings. You don't think, oh, I've got to have a coffee, I've got to have a cake, I've got to do all of this, yeah? So when you think of it that way, you're thinking about what you start your day with, If you start your day with a croissant or a bit of toast and a coffee, what do you think happens to your blood sugar throughout the day? So you might, I know even myself, when I have avocado on toast, even that, an avocado is brilliant and really healthy. It's a really good fat for you. It's good essential fatty acids. Actually, with the toast, actually what it does is it puts my blood sugar there and it makes me hungrier. Whereas if I have scrambled eggs and avocado or poached egg and avocado, I don't get as hungry. Isn't that interesting? And it's because of the carbohydrate and the sugar. So what we start our day with is really, really important. So you might want to have a think about that. And one of the things that's really good is either apple cider vinegar in some water, with some lemon juice if you want to. And that alkalines, even though it's acidic outside of the body, when it goes into the body, it's actually alkaline. But you could just start with lemon water. So rather than having that coffee as soon as you wake up, you might want to have lemon water and then have your coffee. You know, nothing wrong with that, but just what you start the day with. Okay, so I'm going to leave that bit with you. So I'm just going to see who's here. Yeah, so Samira says, I feel my very best when I'm eating fresh raw food. Yeah, absolutely. I tend to just eat, thank you, supplements. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about supplements. I tend to just eat things like stir fries with all the different veg and a piece of salmon that I'll cook in the oven, and I'll put some chili oil on it and cook it in the oven. I tend to get organic, but sometimes you can't get organic, right? But it's good to get organic because then you're actually not eating any of the rubbish that as in the vegetables, you know, the sprays or anything like that. So it's better to get organic, but we can't always do that. So do the best you can. So I do that. And then if I'm really hungry, I will put a little bit of cheese in there as well, melt it in, because that keeps me going. And if I'm not hungry, I won't do any of that. And then I might have some hummus on the side as well. So I'll add that with it. And some seeds sometimes, you know, like a seed mix, and I'll just kind of stir fry that in because that's a huge amount of protein without being animal protein. So if you're veggie, you can do things like that. Hummus is obviously vegetable protein as well. So there's lots of things. The other thing, I will talk about supplements, I'm being reminded here, but the other thing you can do is quinoa, which is spelled quinoa, Quinoa, and you can cook that and then stir that into your stir fries. So when you're cooking, or have it on the side. And that is actually vegetable protein. Even though it looks like a grain, it's actually vegetable protein, and it has a huge amount of B vitamins in it. So anyways, just a few tips there. So what I take in the way of supplements, I take two things. And one of them is krill oil. So that is fish oil, but it is the krill oil. And of course I have it organic. And that krill oil is 10 times more powerful than fish oils. Okay. So I take a lot of that. And it's really good for your skin. You know, your skin always looks really good. And it really hydrates at central nervous system level. So what we want to do is hydrate the cells at central nervous system level, because if we're hydrated, then we can absorb all of those nutrients. Okay. The other thing that I take is something called Supermag, which you can only get from Nutrigold, but equally you can get magnesium citrate. So Nutrigold do this amazing thing which has the B vitamins in with the magnesium citrate. I'll just show you, actually I've got it here. Yeah, I have this one, Supermag Plus. See it? Nutrigold is the organisation that I buy it from. Okay, but you can just get magnesium citrate, and it says a certain amount of milligrams you're supposed to have, but if you just intuit that or use the pendulum, it will tell me how much, it will tell you exactly how much you need. Okay, so you might need 1,000, or you might even need 2,000 on that day. So you just go with what feels right to you, not necessarily read what it says on the bottle, because we're all individual and we need more at certain times. So one of the things we cannot get from our food in the levels that we used to be able to get it from is magnesium. And magnesium is key for digestion. Okay, it's other things as well, but it's really key for digestion. So because of that, if we don't have the magnesium, then it's really hard for us to uptake iron and all sorts of things. I won't get too technical and scientific, but it's just a really important thing to have as a mineral in your body. So oils and magnesium, these are the key things. And of course, drinking pure water. But one of the things that's really important, more than water, is oils. Okay. So if you're cooking with oil, you kind of only really want to use coconut oil because coconut oil is really stable. So what it means is the molecular value does not change when you heat it. Okay. If you use coconut oil, essentially you're not destroying the molecules. If you use any other oil, you're actually changing the molecular value of it. And you definitely do not want to use things like corn oil, rapeseed oil, vegetable oil that has been processed 50 million times before it gets put in a plastic bottle. So you want to buy coconut oil, and you can get coconut oil in a glass jar, and it will be solid, depending on where you live in the world, of course, but it will be solid and then it obviously melts. But if you're in a hot country, then it will be melted and it'll be liquid. So, it depends on where you are. But that is the best thing to cook with. And you get used to the taste. I tend to put a little bit of chili oil in there as well when I cook. So it just makes it a bit more flavoursome. What else do I want to say? The day-night cycle, thank you. So we have something in our whole system called the day-night cycle. Okay, so what we want to be able to do is have, it's called the sodium-potassium pump. So calcium and sodium travel together as an element, and potassium and magnesium do. So what we want is, because sodium and calcium travel together, they're what we call excitatory elements. Okay, so if we've got a lot of cholesterol around, I don't want to say it, but I want to explain what that is first, around the outside of our cell, then it's really important to release that. Now, cholesterol is not about fat, it's about dehydration. Okay, so what our body naturally does is it coats the outside of the cell to stop us from dying, basically. So it will have cholesterol around the outside of the cell, but what that does is it stops the sodium potassium pump working. So if you have cramps in the evening, if you can't sleep properly, if you are reaching at 3 o'clock in the afternoon for a cake and a coffee or something like that, then you know that there's something going on with the sodium potassium pump. Okay, and it means that the potassium and magnesium can't get into that place in the cell, and it's outside of the cell. So I know it's a bit scientific, but I think it might help you understand. So cramps are lack of magnesium in the system. Okay, so dehydration leads to that situation. So we have something called a stress dehydration cycle, and with the stress dehydration cycle, we want to interrupt that. Okay, stress from taking a lot of medication, putting things in our body that make our body work really hard, diet, lots of refined foods, lots of sugar, things like that. It's hard for the body to digest. So that puts us into that stress dehydration cycle. Also, if we are under a huge amount of stress, so, we're feeling really overwhelmed in our life, we can't cope, things like that, that puts us into that stress dehydration cycle as well. So we want to be, helping ourselves as much as possible, And one of the things that's really good is hydration. So if we can hydrate at central nervous system, then it starts to transform our inner part. Okay. And of course we have mindfulness, and we have meditation. I'm going to do a bit with you in a minute, actually, just to help you come into that center. But essentially we want to be able to calm our central nervous system down. When we're in that sympathetic nervous system, we're really looking at being in our fight and flight. And when we're in the parasympathetic, we're in that place of peace and calm. Okay. All right. So let me just see. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me. If you think this information will help someone else, definitely like and share it, and subscribe if you're new, because then you won't miss any of this information when it comes up. I do 2 videos a week. This is the first one, and then the second one goes out on a Friday morning, and that is 5-minute frequency tune-up, and that's where the guides come in. And sometimes it's light language, sometimes it's channeling information, whatever it might be, but it's always healing. Okay, so we tend not to do as much of that on this video, but on the 5-minute frequency tune up, you literally get 5 minutes of healing, which sets you off for the weekend. Okay, so I think we're going to do some meditation. I think we're going to come into our heart, and what I'm hearing from the guides, as I can see them stepping in, is they want to tell me something first about our light bodies, which I'm going to listen to and give to you. But they also want us to connect with perhaps listening to what our body needs. So it's going to be really interesting when we go through this process, because it's going to allow us to connect with what our true inner guidance is trying to guide us with, in perhaps what food isn't good for us, what we need to put in our body, or whatever it might be. So I think there's 2 things. What do we need to perhaps take out of our diet, and what do we need to put into our diet? Okay, so you know that will be right for you, whatever it might be. So the Palladians just stepping in here, 9th dimensional Palladian collective that work with me, and they're talking about how we are. Okay, thank you. They're talking about how we are transforming our frequency into more light. And they're saying that as we are transforming our frequency into this new, this new earth, this new way of being, we have to shed the density. We have to shed the density of who we truly are, so that we can ascend to the next level. So ascension is essentially ascending. So we're ascending to the next level of our life. And so we need to shed the old density in our physical body so that we can do that. And they're saying that the times when we have just been pure light and we haven't really had a physical is what we're kind of going back to, not right now, but we're working our way towards being those incredible light beings again, and shedding the density of a physical. But at the moment, what we're doing is we're just releasing anything in our physical body. Interesting. We're going to be going through quite a lot of purging. I think there's a full moon coming up. Full moon's coming up this week on the 10th of September. I'll be doing a full moon event on Friday. You don't want to miss that, because it's a full moon in Pisces, so it's the end of the cycle. So we'll be releasing and doing healing and letting go, working towards the next new moon, which I believe is in Libra. So they're saying that as we are purging, as we are letting go, then we are coming much more into alignment with the next frequency of ascension of our mission. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's come into our heart space. And just place your hands on your heart as you connect with your breath. You might like to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just keep that breath flowing in a beautiful symbiotic relationship of breathing in and breathing out. And then I want you to imagine that you are breathing down, the next out breath, breathing down to your feet, and connect with your earth star under your feet. Good. Connecting you to Mother Earth. And then I want you to breathe up from your heart to your crown, to your soul star. And then I want you to imagine a beam of light coming down from the soul star all the way through, down to the earth star. And expand that light out. And as you expand that light out, you invite in your teams, your spirit teams, to work with you. And before this video, before I went live, I prepared the energy. So we're inviting in beautiful beings of light to assist. Good. So just want to close your eyes, keep your eyes closed, and just ask the question, what, if anything, do I need to take out of my diet? So let's just listen. And then ask the question, what, if anything, do I need to bring in to my diet? Okay. And then if you're ready, you can come back. So as you're coming back, what you were told or what you got a sense of, does it make sense to you that that would be something? I just got shown sprouts, like seeds and sprouts, and they were telling me that as we eat these sprouting roots, then it's called life-giving foods. So we're actually eating the life. So the life is within us as we're eating that life-giving food. So that was really interesting for me. I think it's called sprouting. I think you can do it yourself with beans and all sorts of things, and you sprout them. I've done it many years ago, but it sounds like I need to do it again. So I was listening to that, and they said to me, I know this already, but definitely all refined carbohydrates. Yeah. So I know that that's right for me. That's what they've told me. So what have they told you? Which would be really interesting. So while you're replying to that and what messages you've been given from your guides, I just want to tell you about this Thursday. We start the channeling class, which is bringing your message to the world. So either through channeled writing, channeled speaking, or channeled healing. So however that might be, we're having 6 weeks, 2 of each week, and it's a 6-week program. It's at 4 p.m. UK. It's on Zoom. And if you'd like to join us, there's still a couple of places. And if you'd like to join us, it's a small group, so I work individually with you as well. Go over to my website, susankennard.co.uk, and you can book your place. But I will leave the link as well in the notes here. I will leave the link for you if you're interested in that. Also, if you're interested, next Monday, I'm running September's first retreat, which is all about money. So we're going to be clearing the blocks to a particular event that you remember about money. Okay, so it could be that, you know, you saw your parents arguing over money, you never had enough money when you're growing up, or whatever it might be. And so we're going to be clearing that childhood event, but we're also going to be working with tuning the frequency to bring more money into your life. So we're going to be clearing on many different levels and bringing in that frequency to bring in more money into your life. I feel as well that we're actually going to be put into a specific money chamber for a whole week, because the following week on the Monday, we're going to be working with mission. So we're going to be clearing the blocks to mission. We'll be clearing the blocks to the next part of your mission, which will be really exciting. And if you missed August retreats, you can get the replays on my website. August retreats are essentially the I am presence. So who are we? And the second one is all about relationships. So the first one is relationship to you, and the second one is relationship to others. So if you didn't see those, or if you weren't part of those, you might want to get the replay of those, because it was really deep, profound healing. And we have to remember that money is love. It's a reflection of love. So next Monday is all about money. This Friday is the full moon astrology event. You don't need to know anything about astrology. We'll be doing meditation, healing, and looking at the astrology as well, which will be really good fun. And I do a card. I pull a card for each house of the astrology chart. And what else? Oh, yes, Thursday, just reminding, there is the channeling class. And if you want to be part of my soul family, my soul's mission membership, you can just pop over to my website. I have a whole page on the soul's mission membership, because you get so much for it, but I'm not going to go into details about everything now. So hope you're all feeling okay. Let me just see what people... Oh, Samira couldn't get any information. So you might want to go back over and do that process again, and just really listen in the quietness of your heart what would be right for you. Okay. All right, so much love for now. I'm going to leave you now. I've got a client very soon. I look forward to hearing how you're getting on with this video. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe, because on Friday, you'll get some healing. And I have no idea what the guides are going to prepare for Friday, but I feel it probably will be around frequency. Okay, so much love for now. It was great to see